very special connection between the fan and the artist is a historically important partnership, one which enriches and entertains the public, motivating and sustaining the creative. No question, the most insidious virus in the midst of this illegal downloading of music is piracy on the net.
Sparkling silence lost its shine, like phantom sharks on the A one-hand punch has knocked me cold, a feeling hits my skull, and my mind just turns to empty, and I couldn't tell you why. Smart drinks lead me to forget. When constant comment won't shut up, I'll sit right down and feel like MC. Drink it up. When Diet Light to me is wrong, my country times expire. My Minute Maids hour long. My Maxwell House will get me wired. When my pet milk turns on me, my five alive. Everybody, bring it up.
She is her baby. It's just Cambridge up down, it's just sort of collected and continued, you know, there's another one to do.
No, it's very sort of, you're very good at co-operative feel about it.
Yeah.
Hackney in a house of commons.
Yeah.
You know, and it's nice to know things are still happening in that way. Picture. Yeah, so who do you usually illustrate? Or what do you usually?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying these are illustrations because they're closer to the illustrative style than they are to a nice painting style.
Yeah.
I do
my friends who are filming us. They're doing it My answer would be on some days, yes. I do think I probably am. But at the same time, no, not at all.
But as you say, it's a concept that you, the person doesn't see themselves as something perceived by an outsider, and then they, draw the eccentric.
I love it, yeah. I love it. I'm just going to get older and older and more of an eccentric. I think eccentric people get away with shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel.
Didn't you say you wrote poetry in a way quite, you didn't start writing poetry until fairly recently, right?
Literally just over a year ago.
Just over a year ago, yeah.
3 months.
Yeah, and then you just kind of had a blitz of writing poetry.
I just decided I was going to be a performance poet. I set myself a task, and that was to spend a year. I wrote 52 poems over 52 weeks.
Yeah.
And sent them out to 150 names in my phone book on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because life wasn't really going anywhere, and I thought, well, this is the way of changing.
Yeah. Or what? I'm wondering why you didn't start writing earlier. Really. I mean,
I think that 10 years on the smack and crack was all the inspiration. It got in the way, but there was an awful lot of inspiration.
Yeah.
That I probably couldn't have done any of this before I was 14.
Yeah.
Because I needed those 10 years to actually have something to create about, to make music about,
Yeah.
to write about.
I mean, I must admit, I feel the same about my writing.
I think somewhere like Cambridge makes it a lot more difficult to be seen as eccentric because there are so many weirdos around here.
Eccentricity is normality in Cambridge. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like this guy. There's this guy that I don't know how long he's been in Cambridge, but you might remember this guy Keith. He's a ginger guy. He used to go around with
Johnny
stuff.
mentioned.
Yeah, he used to go around with the stuff on his head. And I remember him when I was a very young teenager, sort of 13, 14 kind of thing. And I remember seeing him with like salmon strapped to his head, and a loaf of bread, and a frozen chicken and stuff. And you just think, nutter. And then actually I met him a few years later, and he's like, oh yeah, that was for an art commission I was doing through the council. And this guy's getting paid for doing that, and I think it's about perception, basically, isn't it? It's like, what is weird and eccentric and nutty to one person, the person that's actually doing it has got a perfectly logical reasoning behind what they're doing, and it makes perfect sense if you just talk to them. So
it depends on the perspective you're looking at, really, doesn't it?
I mean, I guess it's kind of subjective.
And on that note, really.
But
what do you feel about your eccentric qualities?
I like my eccentric qualities.
And does it tie in with your perception of your ADHD, which is
I suppose so, yeah. I don't know, I don't suppose I ever really thought it was my ADHD because I wasn't aware I had it.
No.
Whereas now it's an explanation.
Because the reason I say that is because I think there's a kind of a line to be drawn between eccentricity and what we would see as madness and worthy of the asylum, and it's perhaps an unfair line, and it depends on who's making that judgment, because I mean, we were just talking about Barnley Art. This guy Keith, who had a salmon on his head and walked down the road on this, and he was seen as quite an eccentric character, but he was actually getting paid for doing that.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, so it was kind of a studied eccentricity, and I also know Keith through my work as a nurse, and I've seen him when he's been quite ill. So I think there's kind of a line. But what do you see as a kind of your inspiration for your project?
I suppose just trying to make sense of the world and.
I mean, it's quite. It strikes me that it's very much your personality. It's just you
I
have
think so, but I suppose I look at things that happen, within society that women are expected to dress in this ridiculous way. And,
Yeah.
I just want to challenge it, and I just want people to think about it a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, if you obviously can't see the video installation, but basically Amy's thing is just showing herself constantly taking off her clothes to reveal new clothes and kind of getting a little bit frustrated with the experience of having to do it. I
I'm
suppose.
trying to turn myself into Barbie, kind of a sensational ideal femininity, I suppose. In fact, you can never actually conform to that, no matter what you do.
You never quite reach it.
No.
And yet, because at the end you kind of fall down, don't you?
Yeah,
It's almost just like out of exhaustion or something.
We're defeatist, I
Wrapped
suppose.
all your clothes so many times.
But I think that's part of the point, this kind of desperation of the struggle.
I mean, what I quite like about it is, as a man, it kind of tests, it questions why you're kind of looking at it. Because obviously it's quite a lovely looking woman, and it's you kind of you are basically not really wearing very much most of the way.
I like that. I want men to question why they look at me, because you look at women like that every day in newspapers, magazines, and it's taken for granted. But when it's in artwork, you begin to question the voyeuristic way in which you look. Women do this, they will go to the gym, explore themselves in fake time. Women do this, obviously not in extreme ways, but extreme representations of that.
But it's not that extreme, is it? I mean, I think that's what how it kind of works because of that. Because it's yes, you can see it's a bit exaggerated.
Do you mean in similar states getting ready for a night out?
Yeah, I mean, and having been on a night out with you, I can well imagine it's taken a long time, right? Because you wear quite interesting clothes. Go to kind of Moulin Rouge or something like that. Not Moulin Rouge. That's not what I'm about. Is it Salon Rouge?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that takes about 4 hours.
Yeah. So right. So you but obviously that is kind of fun.
But you're doing the same thing with the corset, with all the makeup. You're basically doing the exact same thing.
But you wouldn't presumably do it if it was. I mean, you must see it as kind of choosing the costume and.
Yeah, it's very theatrical. It's not my pictures, is it? I suppose. That's the fact I like to go out because I'm so necessary.
What do you enjoy about that, though? I mean, is it the final product?
I think it's the performance aspect, the transformation and the actual performance, being outside yourself, being in some kind of different character.
Yeah.
Like it's always based on the character. I never think, I'm going to wear a beautiful outfit. It's always, what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But the getting ready is great, like all the girls together and everything, and seeing what you can make yourself look like.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Kate telling me, guys basically on that night, you're here to frame the women, and hence all the blokes essentially wear what I'm kind of wearing at the moment, like a little bit of a jacket, like a shirt, and that's about it. And we all more or less do the same, right? I mean, David and Tristan and me the other night, we were identical, whereas the same could not be said of you. Kate were looking at, we were going
Heaven and hell.
Yeah, heaven and hell.
And then we got roles halfway through the night.
So it's interesting. I'm just basically asking everyone, what do you think of eccentricity? And I suppose the theme so far has been, is an eccentric someone, or does somebody themselves see themselves as eccentric, or is it a label coming from the outside? And is it actually quite a nice concept? Because everyone seems to quite like eccentricity in the UK, Yeah. So.
I don't know, it's kind of like madness with intelligence.
Yeah.
It's what we just said before, kind of like that crossover. And I think eccentricity is kind of doesn't really have a negative connotation. The line that the institution tries to find between madness and normality.
Yeah.
I suppose they're not kind of really making a statement on the sort of the esoterics of it, but more on the sort of society's protection.
Hard thing to tell people, particularly if they don't agree with the doctors and what you know and what the nurses are saying to them. So it's very it's definitely one of the more difficult parts of working, I guess, in mental health. Basically, what I'm going to ask you is so, Kate, you are the curator of this exhibition, which I must say is a very fantastic mix of very different kinds.
I work a lot in female sexuality, sort of questioning the role it plays in what people are comfortable with when it comes to female sexuality. So we're comfortable with seeing women naked in the media, but as long as it's sort of like a consumer good. So women's bodies have become...
If it's selling something. Basically.
Yes, and it's actually become a consumer good in itself. Because now it is something that can be consumed and bought. And so I think through the jelly you can quite literally consume it. But it's in the shape of an actual female vagina, which upsets people. People don't like to see a vagina, like with the labia out and the whole. But it's fine to look at naked women with the breast out, but the vagina is still something that makes you feel.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting that, as I understood it, you were quite literally asking people to eat the jelly, right?
Yes.
I don't know if they have now, but earlier on they hadn't.
No.
No one's touched it, right?
No, it makes me very comfortable. Why is that? Why are people so uncomfortable with, again, reproductive organs of a woman? Why is it so shocking to eat it? And I guess maybe because of the oral sex connotations or.
So do you think it's a kind of a vestige of privacy or something like that?
It is, in a way. Yeah, people don't. Yeah, you're talking to the wrong person about privacy. I'm not a private person. I find that privacy goes hand in hand with shame a lot.
Yeah.
So to kind of break away from privacy and get everything out in the open and more.
Yeah, because I mean, you have a very sort of disinhibited attitude to your body, don't you? I mean, I know as a friend that you're quite happy to be naked around your friends.
Yeah, and I think because people hide their bodies, it's a shame thing, and it's a kind of reflection of society, really.
Yeah.
And people feel ashamed of their bodies, and with women's bodies, we don't feel they're good enough. The media says you're fat, you're too thin, your face is too wrinkly, so we feel that we're not adequate, we're not good enough.
And I mean, we were talking about eccentricity with some of the other artists that have been doing stuff here, and I've started out by basically saying, well, what is the concept of eccentricity to you? How do you see it?
See, that'd be the other question: is what is normal? That's eccentric. I guess that would be as like outside the concept of comfortable social norms. So if you're eccentric, maybe you talk too much about inappropriate things, or it's hard asking artists who surrounded by artists all the time what's eccentric. It's like, eccentric is my life, eccentric are my friends and the social circles I move in, I guess.
Yeah, no,
it's different, I guess. Things that are outside what people find
slightly celebrated.
Yeah, it's like a socially accepted madness,
Yeah.
Almost usually if you're eccentric, that means you have money. So if you're homeless, you're insane or crazy or nutser. But if you have some money or some education, educated and you're upper middle class, then you're eccentric.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there are a lot of
behaviors.
eccentrics like that in Cambridge, aren't they? That
you're exhibiting the same behaviors as the homeless person is, or the lower working class person is. I guess you're still within people's comfort zone, but behaving differently from people. But people are still, it's not like you're taking your clothes off and in the street.
No,
That's not acceptable. where maybe casting your vaginal gelatin is in an art gallery space is acceptable, yet eccentric. Well, that's kind of how I wanted this the idea behind this exhibition, to let others be the arbiter of what is art. You know, like it's not my job to be the arbiter, it's not yours, but it's everyone's to, you know, choose.
Yeah.
So when is your stuff and stuff like 9ish or 8ish?
I don't really know, to be honest. I've paid sold at 7, but I think Johnny said something earlier.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm trying to make up my mind if it's worth going home and just, you know,
Yeah.
lost them, maybe having another hour's sleep or something.
Yeah.
Or just staying on